Hello everybody, RegiTime here with another review of 31 hands that we've played between the last video and this video. For those of you who don't know, I am currently streaming 30 on Snap most nights from around 11:30 UK time. You can find me on Twitch at the links directly below the video. Please do come along and join if you weren't aware of it before. Come along and join if you want to just see me in live action. Also, please like and share this video. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, all of those things. If you are looking for help with your game, if you're a beginner player or a struggling player who's played a while but just can't seem to win, please consider getting in touch with me. I'll try and give you some help with your game. My rates are very reasonable, I think, for the limits that I coach at, and lots of guys have made a lot of progress after working with me for just a short period of time. And what I'm currently doing on Twitch to try and help develop and grow my Twitch channel is I asked some people from my Facebook group if they wanted to invest in a staking type thing over some short-term staking deals, just to hopefully get some viewer engagement on Twitch, and I think we've certainly achieved that. The deal is, we started off this challenge with $600 that had been staked by, I think, around 12 people, something like that, and it's a 50-50 split. I get to keep 50% of the profits, and then the rest is shared out between the investors, with obviously getting their stakes back. It's gone really well. We'll show just how well it's going at the end of the video. But yeah, I'm sure all the investors are going to be really pleased. I'm really pleased, and yeah, that's a preamble out of the way. Let's get on with looking at the hands. Obviously, when we're playing Snap, we don't have any HUDs running. I know a lot of the players now have got very good notes on lots of players, very comprehensive. But again, not everyone. We've got a ton of hands on, and sometimes when we've only got small sample sizes on people, we can make some mistakes against them when we look back at the hand with more hands on them, how we could have played differently. So we're going to be looking at these hands with like a view to how I played them against maybe someone who was unknown or someone who played differently to how I expected, and then reviewing them again with the HUD stats. So here we go. We open the 8-7 from the cutoff. We get 3-bet by somebody who was an unknown to me. As you see, we only got 11 hands on him. It's only a small 3-bet, so obviously we have to defend, which we do, and we flop super well. He bet, and I remember thinking at the time, this was a hand from last night, I remember thinking maybe we could just check raise here and get all the money in. Then another part of me thought, well, no, if we get it in, we're going to be getting it in behind, almost certainly. And I don't like doing that very much. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like check raise and getting it in here. We have a pair and a flush draw, but I elected to just call and wait to see a turn, see what happened, and we turned pretty much gin, unless we were like crushed by a set or a bigger 2-pair. Then we've got the best hand here with the best draw as well, which is pretty sweet. My opponent bet again, and at this point I elected just to stick him in, thinking it's an unknown player. He's 3-bet, he's double barreled, he's very likely just got a hand that he's going with here. So I stuck it in, and this guy tanked and tanked and tanked and tanked and tanked. I thought I'd lost him, to be honest with you, but he finally flicked the call in, and we beat the Queen King of Hearts. I mean, from a possible not great player's point of view, I can see why he doesn't want to fold here. He's got top pair, good kicker in a 3-bet pot, but yeah, I think he's probably made a mistake here by calling. There's just loads of ways that top pair's beat here, but never mind. Unlucky for him, lucky for us. Here we have the aces. Friend of the stream, Chris, opens pretty small. A reasonable regular. We play a big hand with him later on that I don't think you guys are going to like, because I sure as fuck didn't like it. Calls, we squeeze. Another friend of the stream, Basti, he puts a cold 4-bet in. I don't think he's fucking around here. I think he's just very likely got a hand he's going to go with. The fact we've got 2 aces isn't ideal, because it removes tons of his ace king and whatever that he might just flick it in and call with. But I decided that just jamming was easily the best play here. The cold 4-bets, they're rarely a bluff. So we just jammed it in. He called, and it was just queens versus aces. Nothing too exciting. We have queens here. Ah, yes, I remember this hand now. This is the hand we just talked about. It's a clusterfuck of a hand, basically. It's a complete clusterfuck. This guy who opens, and fine, he had these stats last night. I've got a lot of like hands on. I played with him a ton. He's been around for years. He's not these stats normally. Had I known he was these stats last night, it maybe would have changed things slightly. I have this guy tagged more as just like a weak-ish regular. No idea where he's found these stats from, because he's nothing like that, or he never used to be anyway. So anyways, we make a small 3-bet. This regular calls in the big blind. He calls 2, and we take this flop. We obviously c-bet, and we c-bet reasonably big, and way over half pot, just due to the fact we're just going to have not many. I mean, I think I could have gone even bigger here, because we're not going to have too many bluffs in this situation in a multi-way 3-bet pot. For example, if a 3-bet ace king offsuit or ace king of hearts, I wouldn't c-bet this board, stuff like that. So we get 2 calls, which I'd have been happy with 1 call from this guy. Wasn't too, but when he come along as well, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. And we get a really good turn card. Checks again. I go for a pretty big bet again, half pot, $10. This guy calls again, and this guy goes all in. And at this point, my mind was just fucked. It really was fucked. I mean, it's a really easy call against this dude. Make no mistake about that. But I mean, what's this guy hanging around with? He's called a 3-bet. He's check called flop. Now he's check called turn. I think he folds like pocket 10s at here. He folds pocket 7s for sure on the turn. What the fuck is he hanging around with? And I got dead nervous and mixed up and confused, and I just thought I could be behind in 2 spots here, I could be behind in 1 spot, and then another guy could have a big draw. And I hated it because we're getting fucking ridiculous pot odds. But we're just so deep with this guy. We've still got 200 blinds behind with this guy, so it's not like we can just like raise again. Because if he has a set, which is what I was thinking he had, just like slow playing, like set of 8, set of 9s here, something like that. Maybe, you know, he could have all the sets, not deuces, maybe not 4s, maybe he don't call 4s, but who knows? Maybe he does. I was just like thinking, what the fuck is going on here? We were so deep. And I just didn't know, the time bank was going down. And eventually I just thought, fuck it, it's confusing, it's weird. And I just folded, and I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of it at all. But just like absurdly deep. I flicked the call in there. We still got 200 blinds behind on the river. I wouldn't know how to react on a spade. I wouldn't know how to react if he's led into me on a brick. I just didn't know. And I elected to just fold. And I still don't really know what the best play is here. I guess just calling and seeing a river, and if he donks massive, probably just folding. I think I prefer that line now. I prefer to see me just call and then probably just check back all rivers if we get the opportunity. I think it's a mistake to fold there. In fact, I think it's a pretty fucking big mistake. In fact, I go as far as say it's a fucking enormous mistake. Now I'm looking at it in the cold light of day, and we're not under pressure of time banks going down, other tables going on, etc. It's just an easy call. I think I made a pretty fucking huge mistake here by folding. I just got confused, didn't know what to do, so I thought, fuck it, I'm confused, let's just get out of here. But yeah, it's a big mistake. It should absolutely have been a call, and then we should have played the river in position. Probably the biggest mistake I've made over the course of the 11 sessions so far we've had on this stake. Anyways, he called again. River was an offsuit 7, and we were up against ace 10. I mean, I think his play is pretty fucking, well, I don't know. Probably isn't that horrible. I had no idea. Then he had the other 2 queens, so yeah, was not at all happy with that hand. I think I made an enormous mistake on the turn. I think just calling the turns easily by a long way the best play. And then if he just like bombs the river, then we just probably have to fold it. But yeah, that turn call was fucking horrendous. Sorry, that turn fold was horrendous. I made a huge mistake. I just got completely lost and decided to just get out of the way. Big mistake. Here we are with the ace king, complete unknown raises. We 3-bet. He calls. Well, this is going to be boring, isn't it? We just flop the nuts. We bet he calls. So we bet he raises. We just call to keep all these weird, any like floats or bluffs in. Well, not floats, bluffs in exactly. We check now because allow him to continue with his plan. And yeah, we just have the nuts, and he had ace jack, whatever. Nothing much to see there. Tommy Livno, pretty. I mean, these stats these stats are repeated over like a pretty big sample with him. I know him pretty well. He's a very, in my opinion, bad aggressive German player. We put a pretty big 4-bet in with the aces because I just don't think he's folding. So if I don't think he's folding, there's no sense making it smaller. He clicks it back again. We jam. He calls. Whatever. He had jacks again. Pretty straightforward sort of thing. Queen 9 suited versus someone he was unknown. Now I can look at him. It looks like some kind of regular, although he's not reloading, so he can't be particularly good. We just call with the Queen 9 of spades on the button to play a pot with. I mean, my view of him at the time would have been, right, unknown player. He's got less than 100 blinds. Let's just take a very playable hand on the button and play it against him. We could have 3-bet too. 3-betting or calling's fine. I think foldings would be a mistake. Flop top pair and a spade draw. He bets into us. We just raise at this point. We very likely, not very likely, but quite likely have the best hand. If we don't have the best hand, we almost certainly have the best draw. Turn the spade, bet, call, river break, check, bet all in, call. And he flopped the set, so it's pretty unlucky for him. We have been running pretty good through this entire challenge. Right, what's this guy's name? Nope, I don't know him at all. So we have what seems like an incredibly bad player limping in. Pot size isolation. We call with the king queen on the button. We flop top pair. He bets. He calls. We call. He bets again. He calls again. We call again. He bets small. He folds. I mean, we should just jam here. I don't know what I did. I got a horrible feeling I just call because I don't remember the hand at all. I have no idea why I have not jammed there. We've left 687 on the table almost certainly. That is an absurd just call by me. Nope, don't like it. I mean, yeah, we just left money on the table there. I don't know why. That has to be just a pure lack of concentration. Whether another hand was going on at the time, whether someone was chatting away in chat, whether I could easily have been talking about something else and just totally lost focus. Because that isn't like, I would just jam that 100%. So this is just a lack of focus for me. It's a mistake. It's a mistake I absolutely should not be making. But it's a complete lack of focus. It's a super clear jam on the river when he just bets 150. And it's a huge, well, it's a pretty big mistake that we didn't jam. So that's two hands where I've kind of not had great focus, and it's maybe cost me. This one's definitely cost me money. The Queen's probably cost me money too. Assuming that solid fab wouldn't have jammed the river on his missed spades. So yeah, this is a big mistake again. This should just be a jam. Ace jack, we raise. We get 3-bet by a player, and this is, we were talking about this player a lot last night. There was everyone in the pool who was like, because there was maybe 3 people in the Twitch chat that were also playing in the pool at the same time, and we were all reporting having difficulties against this guy who was like 3-betting a fucking ton. Now his session stats don't bear that out. Before the session I had him down as someone playing like 27, 24 or something like that, with like a huge 3-bet over a smallish sample size. So I had him down as like some super mega, that loose aggressive regular. So we'd already played a few pots with him, and we'll probably catch up with him later. Earlier in the session where he'd 3-bet me with suited connectors and things like that, and I just thought this guy's out of line. Now, not suited connectors like the smaller ones, but more like, I think it was a 9-8 suited, there was a Queen Jack suited. So he's obviously 3-betting like a depolarized range of just hands that he likes, pretty hands. It looks to me like he's not like polarized when he's 3-betting. He's just, if it's pretty, he's 3-betting it rather than calling with it. He doesn't seem to call very often. So we defend the Ace Jack. I think we're way ahead of his range here. He just bets like 150. I think we're miles ahead of his range here when he makes his bets. So we could raise now, just end the hand, but it'll probably work. But I elected to just call and just keep seeing what happens. I mean, the 5's a complete brick. This time he like absolutely bombs it, and I just like, no, I just wasn't having it from him. I thought he had hands like maybe, I mean, possibly Ace Queen, Ace King that he's doing this with, but other stuff like Queen Jack, King Queen, Queen 10 suited. I mean, I just thought, no, this guy, I mean, he's got a really high turn barrel, 75% turn barrel. I wasn't having it. I thought my Ace Jack was still the best hand, so I decided to call. River 7. To me, it was another brick. And then that overbet shows for like 150% pot, or just under 150% pot. And I just decided he was bluffing. He doesn't do this with, so he doesn't have like, Well, I don't know what I thought, to be honest with you. I just thought he had like enough bluffs in his range where we could call here. I mean, we need 37% equity. I think it, personally, I could be wrong now, but at the time, I thought this guy had like a ton of bluffs in his range. King, queen, queen, jack, king, jack, queen 10 suited. Maybe some better hands that he's bluffing with too, I guess. But not too many value hands. I mean, obviously, you can have aces, kings, and things like that. But I think it was a bad call. We discussed it after in the chat, and we decided it probably wasn't the best call. But I made the call expecting to see just enough air. Turns out we had like the 9-8, so we rivered the straight. But I think, yeah, I think if that isn't a 7, if that turns like a 10 or a jack or whatever, or a queen, I think he does exactly the same thing. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe I've got him wrong. But to me, this is the guy that's going to just barrel off a hell of a lot. And this isn't maybe the best time to call him down with, but I decided, no, fuck you. I just don't believe you. And I was wrong. Ace jack, we open. We get 3-bet again by the same player. This time I've elected to 4-bet him with the ace jack, knowing that he does 3-bet a depolarized range, so he's going to be calling. He doesn't seem to do much folding to 3-bets. I mean, fold to 3-bets there, 25%. Small sample, so we can't be like really believe too much from it. But I mean, it's not nothing. It has some significance. So we 4-bet thinking he's going to call with lots of like dominated hands and things. He does call. Pot comes down ace side. We bet. He calls. He checks the turn. I like to check back just to, like, who knows, induce some bluffs maybe, or what have you. At this point, I mean, if he's got an ace 10, we can get all the money on the river anyway. If he's got an ace queen, we're going to lose all the money on the river anyway. The pot's set up where we can, by checking back this turn, it doesn't matter very much. Yeah, we give free shots to spades and things, but overall, at the time, bear in mind, I was still under the impression that this guy was like pretty bluff happy. So I was happy to check back here and bluff catch rivers, just give him opportunity to bluff. I thought there was more chance of taking money from him by checking back and then bluff catching rivers than there was by just trying to get value again from like ace 10, ace 8, that type of hand. River completes our trips and he just jams. We have the super easy call, and he had the queen jack of spades, so we probably get all the money either way. But maybe if we just bet the turn he calls and then maybe just check fold to river, so maybe our check made us some extra money there. 2 queens, we open, we get squeezed by this guy again, this Cicerone character. Again, we put the 4-bet in. This was before the ace jack hand, this one. He calls, we get a good flop. We bet, he calls, we get a good turn. Check, bet, call. And this time he had the aces, so there we go. I liked his line there. If he's going to like call 4-bet to some crap hands, he needs to be calling with aces too, I guess. We have the jacks here. Oh, I remember this hand. We'd just been talking about limping, and I was saying that maybe with the right players behind you, you could start to devise like a limp strategy, like a limp call, limp fold, limp raise strategy. And then this Tommy Livno guy popped up out of nowhere, and we know he's bad aggressive. So just because we're talking about it and just kind of a fun, I thought, fuck it, let's see what happens if we go for a limp raise against him here. So that's what we did. We decided to go for a limp raise, and I made it fucking huge to try and demonstrate the point that, you know, these guys make tons of mistakes versus that these bad aggressive players make tons of mistakes. They don't want to fold. And he called, which is nice. And then the other guy called. So all of a sudden we got this fucking massive pot with just 2 jacks. And this isn't anything. I don't recommend you do this, but I do think there is a case to be made in aggressive games to try and develop some kind of limping strategy in early position. When you've got like a ton of guys behind you who are 3-betting a ton, so you want to open 10-9 suited, but you've got 4 guys behind you who all 3-bet around 10%. Then you're like, what do we do now when we're 10-9? If we open it, we have to fold it to a 3-bet, etc., etc. So I think there's a case, I think you could, but in specific situations, have some kind of limping strategy. I haven't put any thought into it, but I think it's something we could definitely think about. Anyways, we did it this hand just for fun. I led out, he called. He went all in. All we could do was call, and then he called. And we get a pretty good turn. So we just jammed all our money in. We caught a call. So now we've got a $112 pot at 30 and on, which is sweet. And we were up against the ace jack suited and the 10 jacks. We were lucky there to like both guys flopping almost draws, and then for us to hold. We dodged an awful lot of outs there. And yeah, fantastic stuff. Nice win. We open the 10-9 suited this time. a pretty tight regular calls. We see bet, he calls. We hit the flush on the turn, so we bet again, and he calls. And then we bet the river. I mean, I don't know why he leaves 170 behind here. He raises to 28.50. I'm not going to fold flushes. I don't like it when we get raised on the river by these types of players, but I'm just never going to fold a flush here. If he's just got the bigger flush, then more power to him. I didn't like it. In fact, I fucking pretty much hated it. I hate paying off. You can see by my graph later that we're having a really good time of it, and most of my success, in my opinion, has come down to just like not paying off in situations where other people do. I think like my ability to make some very tight folds with like spots where our opponents have very few bluffs is significantly higher than most of my peers in this pool. But this is one of those times where I just thought, no, my hand's just too strong, we just can't fold it. I mean, if he just has like the naked ace of diamonds here, for example, he could make this play. Whether this guy does that or not, I don't know, but I elected to call, and yeah, he showed me the nuts, which is what's going to happen usually when you get raised on the river. Here we have a hand against solid fab. We 3-bet him with the jacks. He 4-bets us. And again, this is a spot where I can sometimes fold quite easily. I don't mind like 3-bet folding jacks. But he made it so fucking damn big. I kind of thought, no, this dude's probably got a lot of ace, king, ace, queen here. Because it looked, this bet size felt like he wanted me to fold. So we jammed it in his eye. He snapped it off. And we lost to queens. Ace jack suited, we flat and open from a weakish regular. We get, I remember this hand too. This is not pretty, this hand. This guy is pretty aggressive regular. I think he's a very good player. He goes for the squeeze. I decide that he can have some, or quite a lot of like bluffs in his range. As equity here, you know, like king, queen, 10-9, you know, he can have plenty. In my opinion, he can have a few bluffs in. He can also have some pairs that he's just going to fold if we back raise. So I elected to go with the back raise. He jammed, and this is, in my opinion, pretty damn spewy from me. I just decided that we put too much money in this pot now. You know, we just had to call it off. I mean, yeah, we're crushed by like aces specifically and jacks. But we, you know, if he doesn't have pocket aces here, we just need to call in terms of like our order. We only need 34% equity. If he doesn't have pocket aces, we have at least 30%, sometimes more if he's got any bluffs in his range. So it's really close. But once I decide to put the back raise in, we can't really fold because we're just getting odds. So I called, and we got super lucky. But yeah, once I decided to take the line of putting the back raise in there, I think we're going to be too much equity to fold. I mean, we needed 34% equity to make the call. We block aces, and we've got odds against pretty much everything else. So just say fuck it and call. I didn't like it once he jammed, but I think back raising and folding there would probably not be as good as back raising. Either way, it's shit. I mean, we fold, we lose $9, or we call and we hopefully get in the right price to make the call and just probably break even or whatever. Oh, pretty hand. We get 10s here. We 3-bet against somebody who is very, like, in my opinion, bad aggressive. His session stats are 6, but I've got notes on him that he's like very bad aggressive. So we 3-bet him. He calls. We flop the overpair. Yeah, check bomb, check jams the turn. We can't be loving it, I guess. Yeah, and he just like turn trip 7s. Whatever. And the aces here. We put a pretty big squeeze in. And we get the open jam. Oh, sorry, the 4-bet jam after the limping, which is nice. We flop the top set, we turn the top board, and run into king queen suited. Nothing much to see there. 2 9s, we open, we flop top set. This one's going to be another interesting one, isn't it? Bet check bet call, check bet raise, all in call, and he just turned a flush draw after making a weird flop. Well, not a weird flop, but not a good flop. Hang on, let me just re-clarify that. Was it not a good float? He had 2 overs, backdoor flush draw, and the flop, I guess the float's fine, and then when he turns a flush draw, yep. I don't hate his lines, which I thought was a bit too casual reviewing that one. Sorry, guys. We have 10-9 suited. We call versus a pretty weak regular. He checks. We bet. He just goes all in. I remember this hand too. This looked to me like somebody with a draw, just saying fuck you, I'm all in. It looked like a draw. I don't like calling off usually with just like a pair of 9s, 10 kicker. It's not something I would normally do. But I convinced myself this guy just had whatever, just like 2 diamonds. So we called. And he just had 2 jacks. I mean, he got very lucky there. I guess that we flopped top pair. I don't know. I don't hate his line because it worked. You know, so how can you hate it when it worked? But yeah, I think it's overall it demonstrates that he's just like a bad player, I guess. I don't know. When we open the aces, we get called by an absolute maniac. We get squeezed. So we just call to allow the maniac to still stay in the pot. The maniac calls. And with the Duce is one of the best regs in the field. We now raise with our aces. I'll do this quite a lot. I'll just fold, let's call pocket aces to 3-bet pre-flop sometimes. And just raise them post-flop, just play them like a set, if you will. It's something I quite often do. Anyways, we get the action we wanted. And happy days. If we don't flat pre, we don't get jack 8 in very often, then we don't get to stack him on the flop. So, happy with that result. Here's queen. We 3-bet versus somebody who I believe to be a not good regular. We get 2 callers. Flop top pair. C-bet, call, call. Still have top pair. Why didn't I bet there? That should just have been a bet for me there. I think we should just bet something, anything between 8 and 14 I think would be fine. Don't know why I didn't bet. Anyways, he bets. We call. Check river. Check back. Yeah, I think, well, maybe we haven't lost value from queen jack. I don't know why the fuck I checked that turn. Don't remember this hand at all. This is like seeing it again from scratch. Yeah, we should just bet the turn there against 2 probably bad players. Maybe I didn't know this guy. I mean, I don't remember him. I don't recognise the name in the slightest. I think we should just have bet the turn there. Here's king. We 3-bet versus a regular. And we get a call and we flop the ace and we bet and he calls. We turn trips. We bet small. He calls. And we jam the river for €20. $20 he calls and wow. Just turns up with pocket queens. I guess he just put me on all kinds of missed draws there. I think the turn sizing maybe convinced him to call. We like bet pretty small on the turn. We bet like less than half pot. Maybe he just thought I wouldn't do that with an ace, so therefore, if he didn't think he had an ace on the turn, then he's no reason to think I don't have an ace on the river, I guess. Who knows? Who knows what he was thinking, but sure worked out well for us. We 3-bet queens this time versus the same player as last time. We get the cold 4-bet from Gears, another player who I think is a pretty good regular. Just call just to keep his bluffs in, I guess. Try and see some safe flops and then get busy. You see bets, we just call. He checks. I remember this hand now. I think this is a very easy jam for value. You can call with like, I don't know why I just bet that amount. Doesn't make that much sense. Could we jam? 27-31 in the pot. Yeah, I think we should just jam here. Anyway, I bet that. He jams. I call and he had aces. I think he's played this hand well. I think kind of it's pretty much just a pretty standard hand. I think I should just have jammed the turn though rather than betting 11. We squeeze the ace king. We get a call from a player that is unknown to me. Again, we flop top pair. He just goes all in. We call, and he got there with the king queen. We set man with 3s. We flop a set, and we just check call on this board. Bottom set on a monotone flop. It's not a spot where I want to be like super bloating the pot. Now we have a full house. I'm obviously gonna be a lot happier with my situation. Bet, call, call again. Check, check, bet. And I should definitely raise here, I think. And we do. And he folds. So yeah, I like the way I played that. 2 kings, we bet. We get 3-bet by Hairy Bat, who's another decent enough regular. He goes all in, we call. And he had ace king. Very, very standard, nothing to see there. 2 queens, limper from a fish. Didn't know this player. So playing against a bunch of unknowns here. I do know Einsteinium. Einsteinium's a very good player. He plays in this pool. He plays much higher stakes on Sky. He plays up to 500 now on Sky. He's a friend of the stream. He's someone who I chat with quite a bit. I respect his game highly. We go for a big squeeze. There's a ton of money in the pot. There's already $4.80 in the pot, $5 in the pot. We go for a pretty big squeeze. Jam. We call it off. And we win the flip against the ace king. Queens again. We 3-bet versus, again, someone who wouldn't have been that well known to me. We get a cold 4-bet from the button. I mean, I guess we just jam here, do we? Oh, I called. I think I would have preferred a jam. But if we're going to flop top set, who cares? Checks back. We bet the turn. He calls. We bet the river all in, and he calls too, and he had kings. So yeah, we would have lost. Well, we wouldn't have lost. We'd have got it in really bad. So this is that good for our EV line, but nothing else. I think I preferred just jamming there though. Although maybe not against the 16-13. I didn't realise he was 16-13, or maybe he's not over the big sample, but over this sample size, he was over this session. He was playing 16-13. So maybe we can even think about folding the pocket queens versus the 16-13. But my instinct was jam. When I was reviewing it, clearly it wasn't my instinct at the time. But yeah, that's what happens. Here we have the ace-ace, just 4 hands to go. We open, we get 2 callers, we flop top set. How interesting. 8 million callers. We bet the turn. He raises. We just call. He jams the river, we just call, and he had the straight, which is unfortunate. Well, I mean, not much we can do. We could probably even just jam the turn, I think, versus a check raise. I mean, if he's got the queen 10, he's got the queen 10. I guess I just called to allow, if he has got any bluffs, allow him to keep bluffing. Because, I mean, I'm committed at this point. There's not a chance we're folding top set when we lose to exactly 1 hand. Anyways, he had that exact 1 hand, but never mind. We 3-bet a pretty bad aggressive player. Didn't know that at the time. He was just an unknown, so that's why I will have 3-bet. Just 3-bet to isolate him. I didn't know what sort of player he was. He calls. We flop the flush draw. He check raises. We smash it in his face. He calls. We get there. Yeah, king queen. I think they're. No, we're up against an unknown player. We have an overcard with the nut flush draw. We don't love it when we get check raise on the flop, but there's like $9 left behind. So it's like, you know, we can't just call here and just fold if we lose or whatever. It's just go with it time, isn't it? Really, we'd either go with it or we fold. But if we're gonna, we can't c-bet fold anyway. That's what we can't do. If we want to check back our nut flush draws here, then that's fine, I guess. Not a big problem with that. But once we decide to bet them, we just need to gamble with them, don't we? Then we said what we did and we got there. Ace again. We 3-bet. He 4-bets. We jam. He calls. He had kings. Nothing to see there. Last hand. We have 2 10s. He opens. I didn't, again, this player is completely unknown to me, but had I known he was 48-40, I would certainly 3-bet. I don't always 3-bet 10s. I elect to 3-bet here. Maybe I had some sort of like read at the time that he was involved in a lot of pots. I certainly don't remember his name now. Get a good flop, we bet. He raises. I elect to just jam because, you know, I must have had a read that, because this isn't a typical line for me, like 3-bet pre with 10s, very typical. But then like jam over a min raise, usually I wouldn't do this. I would just call, see some turns or whatever. So I must have had some kind of inkling that this guy was doing something bad, spewing away and what have you. Anyway, we jammed, he called. It's probably not good news. He had the ace king and we dragged down another nice pot. So yeah, that's all the pots over 50 big blinds reviewed now. I don't feel like I played very well over some of those hands we've reviewed, but my results have been literally off the charts. I've been doing really well in like the medium-sized pots. A lot of the pots, I mean, we're just reviewing all the big pots. But as you'll see by the shape of my graph, I've been doing absurdly well in the medium-sized pots, like pot controlling when I need to, like losing the minimum, winning the maximum. It's like the old poker adage, you know, you need to lose the maximum when you beat, win the maximum when you're in front. And I've been doing that pretty much consistently now for like the last 11 days. I think I'm playing some of the, even though we've made some mistakes in those hands, I think I'm playing some of the best poker of my life at the moment. It's just going really well. As you can see, this is just like the session since the last video. 5,000 hands, we've won 15 buy-ins at like 25 bigs. It's fucking absurd. I mean, we're running massively above EV, $49 an hour. It's fucking bonkers. It's been going absurdly well, but if we go back to, when did we start this? 19th of April, was it, I think? Now, we've won like $926 over 17,000 hands. Yeah, we're running massively above EV again, but even allowing for that, you know, we're still winning it like 11 blinds 100. Even allowing for running good, that's an absurdly good win rate. And yeah, it's just gone really well. As you can tell now by like the shape of my graph, we're not playing like tons of like 100 big blind pots. And when your graph takes this shape, you're just doing really well usually in like the medium-sized pots. And then that's what I've been doing really well in like the 10 to 30, the 10 to 40 big blind pots. I've just been like really like losing that. I've just not been paying off, been playing quite passively in lots of spots, losing the minimum. But then when I have a strong hand, getting paid. It shouldn't really happen that way. You know, if we're playing like a really pot control passive type style, we shouldn't be getting paid as consistently as I have been when I've just had the goods. But it's I guess it's a compliment to these games that it's a strategy that really works. And it has worked really well. I've not been getting out of line. I've not been getting out of line pre-flop. Not been getting out of line post-flop. And guys have still just kept paying me off. It's silly how well it's gone. It's bonkers. But I mean, there's not much we can complain about. We looked at the positional stats last night at the end of the stream, and again, small sample size. But we're not doing anything fucking major. We're playing to like 22, 16. But I mean, look at these blind win rates. They are phenomenal. Again, small sample size. I mean, go and check your own results from the blinds. I consistently deliver some of the best results at the blinds out of anyone that I've ever seen in the games that I play. My blind play is usually like -16, -32, something like that, which is better than almost everybody who plays 6-max in these games. Most people have way worse results from the blinds. Yeah, I'm just playing really well. I'm super confident. I've got so much belief in what I'm doing at the moment. Some of the stuff I'm doing would be considered non-standard, but it absolutely works to beat these games. I think I'm playing as well as anybody in the pool. I think I'm probably one of the best players in the pool, certainly in the top 2 or 3, in terms of just knowing how this pool works and how to play best against it. I think I make way less mistakes than most of the other regulars in the pool that would swear up and down they're better than me because maybe they're more aggressive, maybe they're 3-betting more, maybe they're defending more blinds correctly, for want of a better way of putting it, but having worse results because they're playing theoretically more correctly than me. I do a lot of things that aren't correct theoretically that work really well in these games, which is why I think I have like such a big win rate and why I think I'm just such a good person to go to for help in like micro-stakes poker games, because a lot of the stuff people are doing is like theoretically sound and correct, but just not right for the games that they're in. And I think I'm good at being like the guy who says, yeah, you're right there, theoretically that's solid, but it's not optimal. And I think I try to play like optimal for these games, not game theory optimal, just optimal for the games we're in. And I think I do that better than most of the players. And it's not very often I say that about myself. Not very often I blow my own trumpet too big, but yeah, I think I've just got exactly the right style, exactly the right approach for especially Triple Eight, like 5-0 through to 30-0, maybe 15-0. I'm not sure. I haven't got enough volume at 15-0 lately. But yeah, I think I've just cracked it. I think at the moment it feels like my game's in exactly the right place to take big numbers out of this game, and hopefully long may it continue. So yeah, if you've got to this stage of the video, hopefully you've enjoyed the content. If you've got to this stage and you are struggling with your game and you'd like to just have like a session with me or a couple of sessions with me to hopefully talk through some areas of the game that you're not happy with, or to try and just like tap into what I do that you're doing differently and maybe try and adopt some of my style, then you know where I'm at. You know how to get in touch with me and we can set some sessions up pretty damn quickly. But we're going to leave it there now. Hope you guys have a great time for the rest of the weekend. Probably back with my last video from this series on Friday. I'm hoping to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, which finishes off this current stake. And then, yeah, so the last video will be Friday. Hopefully we'll report that we've got past the $1,000 profit barrier. With a bit of rate back, we're almost there. Anyway, I think that with rate back, we've got like $50 in coins and high hand and like promotions that Triple Eight are running. So hopefully we can get through the $1,000 barrier by the end of it, and that will be smashing. But if not, then we don't. But yeah, take care everybody. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll be back on Friday. Bye bye for now.